Hi there, welcome back to another episode of WVU Extension Today on West Virginia Public Broadcasting. I am not Zack Harold. My name is Maddi Bowers, and I'm filling in for our regular host today. Today, we're going to focus on the West Virginia Community Educational Outreach Service, better known as CEOS. Now, CEOS is a extension-supported membership organization that is available in most of West Virginia's counties. So we asked the CEOS State Vice President, Connie Wolfinger, to tell us more about the organization and how you can get involved.
I moved here in April and I joined in October. One of the neighbors came by and handed me a brochure, and she said she would pick me up for the next meeting, and here I am 15 years later, not knowing I would one day be a state officer. I've come to know all my neighbors. I've learned different crafts. I've met people throughout the state. I've learned about the culture in West Virginia. We have clubs in 48 counties. Basically, we're serving the community and we're teaching the community. Most clubs have a meeting every month. Then we have the council meetings. Some have once a month, once every 3 months. We have lessons that are written by our extension agents. We have crafts, achievement days where we honor the members for their service throughout the year. Some of our service projects are brown bags for veterans. We put snacks, juice bottles, water bottles, and the reason we make those is because the Clarksburg Veterans Hospital takes patients to the Pittsburgh Hospital for testing. They don't have enough time to eat, so when they get on the bus, they get these brown bags and it has food to eat on the way home. Then we have, for the seniors in the nursing homes, we have what is called the fidget quilt, because the seniors' hands are constantly moving, and we have, the quilts are probably, I'd say maybe 3 feet by 2.5 feet, maybe a little bigger. And what we do is we put like little bells on there and little shoelaces they can tie. We put zippers, little scrunchies, and it keeps their hands busy. We call them fidget quilts. Some clubs in some counties, what we do is age-appropriate, either tote bags or backpacks, where the children that are displaced from their homes for whatever reason, they're taken from the parents in the middle of the night. Some of them will have toys, pajamas, maybe a little blanket, a little toy, a little snack, and we give them to the police department or fire departments to comfort the children during those trying times. You have to be 18 years old to join now. And we have male members. I believe we have close to maybe 100 male members in the state. In our county alone, we have probably 12. So it's not just a women's organization anymore. You can be a member at large. We have members at large who do not belong to a specific club. They still get the newsletters. They have access to our lessons, to all the craft workshops, to all the events. It may be that they don't have a club near them, so we call them members at large or mailbox members. For instance, my club meets at night, and it may not be convenient for, Jane next door to go there because she doesn't like to go out at night, but she could go to another club that has a morning meeting. So it makes it convenient. You could choose whatever meeting you want to go to. And they still have everything. They can run for officers. They can attend any county meeting in any county or any club meeting in their county. Not specific. They're just not tied into one club. You do not have to be a member to attend conference. It's open to everyone. You can be a non-member and attend. We have our virtual spring conference coming up on April 10th, 11th, and 12th. And then we have our state conference in October 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and that one is held at Jackson's Mill every year. The spring conference virtual, it's via Zoom. It's that you can sit in the comfort of your home, sit in your pajamas, drink your coffee, and listen to the agents teach. We have other members who teach craft classes. At fall conference, we start off with a business meeting. We have an opening session. We have a silent auction. We have merchandise for sale. And then we have game nights. And we have the same, not the same, but close to the same classes we have at the spring virtual conference, at the fall conference, along with crafts. We had quilting classes. We had a lady who did a mason jar. She turned it into a planter. And we had bunco one night. We have a bingo night. And the funds that we raise from the game night go to a specific charity. or into the general fund. West Virginia is hosting our national conference this year. We are part of NVON, comprised of 9 states, and every year it's a different state that hosts. We will host it on July 18th, 19th, and 20th at the Blennerhassett Hotel. We have, of course, craft classes. The seminars will be taught by all of our extension agents. We have speakers or entertain at every meal. We also have a tour of the island and a tour of the hotel, which allegedly is haunted. They can be found at nvon.org, or your local extension office has the registration forms. Chances are you have a neighbor somewhere, or you know someone that is a COS member. Let me pick you up and take you. That's always my suggestion to members. When they have someone that's on the fence, come to one meeting and see if you enjoy it. And if you do, in some counties, not all, we will pay the dues for the first year. And then you can decide after the first year if you want to become a member and then continue from there on.
The objective of the Purposeful Reading Book Club is to encourage the reading of books that fall into the category of fiction, nonfiction, self-help, West Virginia authors, and to also encourage the writing of poetry and short stories. Does that sound interesting? Well, we thought so too. So we sat down with Judy Cowell. She is the state chairperson for the Purposeful Reading Book Club, and she's going to talk more about the organization. Let's check in on that conversation now.
They've done a lot of studies recently that showed that people that read have a far less chance of having dementia-related issues. If people just have normal dementia and forgetfulness, they said that reading is really a good stimulant to keep your mind active. And I think the books that we offer, we try to have an assortment of books that, really addresses things people are interested in. The Purposeful Reading Book Club was started because our meetings had stopped in March of 2020. And so we didn't start again until April of 2021. And so during that time, Extension decided to take books from our Purposeful Reading Book Club listing, and they facilitated discussions, and we did it all on Zoom so that people could do it from their own homes. The extension agents who were willing to facilitate our book club discussions could pick their own book. I think it was Amy Cook and Lauren Weatherford was involved with it, and Carrie Cart. These are extension agents that work with us. Some of them work with us in our committees, like Carrie Cart works with CEOS. Amy, leads the book club, but she also arranges for all the agents, to get on our schedule. Just from the meetings we've had so far this year, it's like we have a turning point, because we've really finally come up with something that, is, really reaching out to people and, getting them interested in the book club. We started the year off with a CEOS member who's written her own book. In fact, she has a whole list she has some series of books, and we had 20 members present. And that's something we've never had before. And to have everybody read the book, because for the book club, it's not a stipulation that you have to read the book. A lot of times people leave with the intention of reading the book. And not only had they read the book, but it was a trilogy. And several of the people had read the whole trilogy. Several people were in book number 2, so they've gone, even beyond, what our expectations were. So I'm looking forward to this next, the next meeting, because all the books that we have are really good books. But there's different types to reach out to different audiences. Our books are divided up. We have fiction, we have nonfiction, we have West Virginia authors, we have children's books now, and then we have self-help. So we have a variety, that would appeal to all people. The first thing they do usually is tell a little bit about the book, so that, if anyone hasn't read the book, it gives them, this is what the book was about. And then, and one of the questions they usually ask is, who did you relate to? Was there one character that stood out to you that you could relate to what they're saying? And that gets people, talking about it. And I think part of what interests people in the book is hearing what other people say about the book. And I think when we get excited and start talking about our books, you do feel like you're in the room with the people. And it's nice to see people from, throughout the state. We have extension agents leading the discussions, and extension covers all the counties, all the people in the counties. So it's really open to anyone who would like to come. If anyone's interested in joining the book club, you can go to extension.wvu.edu. Also, if you go to Facebook, you can look up the WVCEOS book club, and it should come up with an address for you there or a link for you to press. And we're always trying to get new members, so I hope if people are listening and would like to join in, that they will take advantage of that. This is something you can do from your own home.
Did you know that the average person spends 25% of their life in the card aisle searching for that perfect card? I made that statistic up. But I will tell you that I do feel like it adds a personal touch and it saves me time if I make the card myself. That is why we asked member at large Kathy Hamrick to stop by and show us how to make the perfect card for any occasion. They might even do my own personal favorite fold, the hot dog fold. Take it away, Kathy.
Hi, my name is Kathy Hamrick. I am a member at large of Harrison County CEOS. I'm here today to show you how to make some cards with my friend Connie. It's not hard, and you do not have to have a lot of supplies to do this. So we're going to make this as quick as we can and show you that it is easy. Some of the supplies you will need is you got to have cardstock. You can't make a card without cardstock. You've got to have some means of cutting that cardstock. And while you could just use scissors, that will probably give you a headache, so you might want a paper cutter so you can have your lines and see how you're going to cut. You will also need some form of adhesive. I use the roller tapes, or my favorite is Tombow glue, which is a liquid glue. And you can use things like dimensionals, which I have here and will be using later. You'll use stamps, which I do have that. You'll use ink. And today I'm going to cheat and make it real easy. And I'm going to use what we, in our stamping world, call designer series paper. Now you can have die cuts, which is a whole nother world, that cut these out, or you can just use scissors and do what we call fussy cut. Connie's not a fan of fussy cutting, so I won't make her do that today. But you can use those. So to start off with, you're going to have to cut your cardstock right off the bat. The most common cut is either cutting by 4, your cardstock, I need to tell you, is 8.5 by 11. So you either cut it 4 1/4 by 11, or you'll cut it at the 5.5 point. And so to remember that, we've always referred to it as a hot dog cut, which is especially favorite in West Virginia, or the hamburger cut. So those make it easier to remember. Now you can say vertical and horizontal, but that's kind of boring. So I'm going to use my paper cutter, and I'm just going to cut this at 4 1/4, so it's going to be a vertical opening card. Now on my paper cutter, I have a scoring tool and I have a cutting tool on it. I want to fold this in half, and so that will be at 5.5, and I'm going to use my score tool on that. So now I've got the beginning of my card. Simple so far, Connie? Okay, so there's our base. Then I'm going to add a layer. Now, I'm not going to show you the finished card until I get finished, even though I have one all done. So I'm going to just start with the next layer, and typically when we layer our cards up, we'll go, as this one is 5.5 by 4 1/4, my next layer would be 5 1/4 by 4. So that is my next layer, and I can leave that plain, or I can add a little texture. And when we add texture, we typically use embossing folders through an embossing machine. I'm not going to do that today, but I am going to show you what that would look like if I chose to do that. So I'm leaving that layer plain. Now the next layer is going to be one more step down, so that will be 4 3/4 by 3 3/4, I believe, if I got that correct. Now this is where all the action happens. This is going to be the main focal on our card. So I have already cut out flowers because I didn't figure anybody wanted to watch that. So I have these two cut out in these colors. All of our cardstock, I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, have been one for 18 years, so all I use exclusively are Stampin' Up! Products. And our products are all coordinated in color, so it makes everything blend and work nice. So I'm just going to add this to my card, but I want to stamp on the front. And before I stamp, I need to make sure that I get it done right. So I always wait to add anything because I can always turn it over on the other side. So I'll get that ready, and I'm going to use what is called Gorgeous Grape ink. And my stamp that I'm using is a photopolymer stamp, so I can literally see what I'm stamping, which is a big help and gets rid of a lot of mistakes. And I'm going to let that ink transfer to that cardstock. Yippee, it worked! Now, when you're using your photopolymer, you need to have some kind of support underneath that, because typically we use red foam on most of our stamps, and with the photopolymer, it is just that. It's just that photopolymer. So I use a piercing mat. Now, if you had a good wooden table, which this one would have worked, but it will give it enough support. But I like to just keep these out at all times to use for good support on my inking. Okay, now I'm going to just leave that plain. I'm going to take some of those little dimensionals I told you about a while ago. I'm going to just pop those on the back. And these will just give a little bit of lift. So there, we have that much done. And now I'm just going to adhere this white piece to the colored piece using my tape. Center it up. Okay. Oops, and then it's going to go right onto this layer. Okay, very simple, very easy. First card is done. Now I'm going to take this same design, do this all again, and step it up just a little bit, still using the same supplies I have here on the table. So, base card, that was cut at 4 1/4 by 11. Then I'm going to switch the color this time. I'm going to take this starry sky blue and add it. I'm still not going to do anything to that layer. Then I'm going to come to the main focal point. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scoring tool that I used. Instead of cutting, I'm going to score. And I'm just going to start roughly, I think I'm measuring about 1.5 inches. And I'm just going to score. And then I'm going to go over about 1/4 inch and I'm going to score again. And I'm going to repeat that process until I'm happy with it. And if 4 is enough, I think I'm going to go 5, because usually working with uneven numbers is really good on cardstock. So it just has little raised bumps on it. You could do more. You could do the whole card if you wanted. I'm just going to do that much, and I don't know that I left enough room for my greeting. But you know what? We can switch it. Instead of going vertical, we're going to go horizontal with this card. So there are lots of ways to change a card and make it look just a little fancier. Whether it's changing the direction it goes. That's a record for things working right, isn't it? Okay, now I'm just going to go ahead and add this on because I've stamped. I know it's okay. I'm going to go ahead and just place it on here. And when I scored, it made lines or it made raised bumps. And I'm putting the raised bumps face up. Okay, so here's what we have so far. Then I cut out more flowers. And you know, on this first card, I just cut out 2 that were together. Well, I cut out several pieces of greenery so that we can just kind of place these wherever we want. What do you think, Connie? 3 enough? Yes. Okay, so add some leaves in the color. I do too. I like these colors really well. Okay, I'm just going to stick dimensionals behind these. Don't need a ton of dimensionals because these little guys stick really well. Put those 2 on the back here. They're slightly raised. I'm going to add the greenery last so I can see where I need to push those little pieces in. Okay, then I've got mini dimensionals that I can put on the leaves that won't show up. If I use the big ones, they would typically peek out from behind here. And we go, so 1. And, nope. I think we need 1 more or leave it at that. I think that's fine. Well, maybe. Yeah, maybe one. Maybe one more. Connie does this a lot with me, so she's used to this. Okay, now we're going to add one more thing. I mean, that looks pretty good right there, and you'll see that because I switched it, it now opens this way instead of this way. But we're going to add some pearls to this. And typically you add an uneven number. Remember you can hardly see my lines, but you do an uneven number. So instead of adding 4 flowers, I did 3 because it works better with uneven numbers, even with the leaves. I'm not sure that one I got the glue dot. Well, I don't think I even got to add any in the bottom. I think I'll just stop with that. That's good. Okay, so this is basically the same card design, but look how different that looks. You would never guess it was the same thing. Now, you would always stamp something on the inside. I don't typically until I'm ready to mail these, but then you've got to do one more thing just to finish it off. So when the recipient gets this, they know that, well, this is something special coming. So you can take your envelope, and then I have a piece of the same designer series paper cut 2 by 6, and I'm going to just adhere that to the flap of the envelope, and then line it up with that flap, and then I'm going to take my scissors and just trim around that. And once that is all trimmed, I'll have a decorated envelope flap that coordinates with my card, so it looks like I really have it all together. I don't, but it looks that way. So there you go. You could also take that same embossing folder that I talked about earlier and do that. And I need to show you what that looks like. I'm not really going to finish this one, but if you can see there close up that has texture on it, so that would also give you a different look. So you can see again how much different this is. Just changing that up a little bit. So it's really easy to make cards. You can send sympathy cards, congratulation cards, get well, birthday. There are so many things. And what I have seen that happens a lot in my classes are people who lack in self-confidence by the time they leave a class, and I'm sure Connie would agree, they've got more confidence because they completed a project that they didn't think they could do. And everybody needs that assurance that you can do something, and this is easy to do. So thanks for joining us today. I hope this was beneficial to you and that you'll give this a try. If you'd like to see where I'm doing some other classes, you can check online with the CEOs and see if I'm at one of the conferences to attend some of those classes for more information. Thanks for watching.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. I was practicing my hot dog fold. But we're actually going to wrap this episode up in the kitchen, so let's head over there now.
Hello, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Elizabeth, and I'm with the WVU Extension Service Family Nutrition Program. And today I'm going to share with you a recipe that's called overnight oats. There's a lot of time when we don't have time to think about breakfast, and this is something you can put together the night before, and you put it in the refrigerator, and the next morning it's ready for you to go, and it's very convenient. You can take it along with you as you go to work or as you go to school. So here we go. First thing we need to do, of course, with any recipe is to go ahead and wash our hands. I've already done that, but just make sure your hands are clean. A few more things is the different type of fruit that you use for your overnight oats. You always want to make sure that you rinse that off as well. I've used blueberries, and I've also washed off my blueberries here. So we're gonna start, and we're gonna put together our overnight oats just in a quart jar. We're gonna use a little bit of oats, only about 1/4 of a cup. We're gonna put that in the bottom. You can use either old-fashioned oats or you can use quick oats. So we're gonna put that in the bottom of our quart jar. Just a little bit of skim milk. It is only about 1/8 of a cup of milk. I'll layer that on top of my oats. Next, we have a little bit of low-fat yogurt, 1/2 a cup. I'm gonna layer that in on top of our milk. The fruit I have picked are blueberries. You can pick blueberries, strawberries, just any pineapple, just any fruit that you like. Even chopped up apples would be good. So we'll put these blueberries in. And I've chosen a little bit of cinnamon. I'll sprinkle that on top. A little bit of peanut butter. Add some protein in there. And then just a little bit of vanilla down in there. So then we will just simply put our lid on, and you see it's all layered up, and the oats that are in the bottom, they'll take up the milk and the yogurt, and it'll soften those oats up, and we'll just put the lid on, and then it's ready to go in our refrigerator. So here we have our overnight oats. They have sat in the refrigerator overnight, and our oats are nice and soaked up with our yogurt and our milk, and it has softened them up. So you will just take the lid off, and when you're ready to eat breakfast, you can just mix it up a little bit, mix your fruit in with your peanut butter, and you get your oats from the bottom, and it's just a meal in a quart jar that has all these food groups. We've got protein in the peanut butter, we have fruit in the blueberries, we have dairy in the yogurt and the milk. So you just kind of mix it up, and you have your grain, of course, in your oatmeal. So a healthy breakfast should include at least 3 of your 5 food groups, and we have that in our overnight oats. It should be very low in saturated fat, very low in added sugars, and very high in fiber. And I think our overnight oats, it qualifies on all 3 of those points.
Well, that does it for us over here at WVU Extension today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope to see you here next time. Have a great day.